because He's there. He wants us to cast our cares upon Him. He wants us to come and share our hearts with Him. And if with me, I was tending to eat more than taking things to the Lord. So in my journey with the Lord in that area and healing, He began to show me the importance of eating for health, to think about the things that I put in my body to nourish me so that I can have longevity and to be of service to Him on this side. Okay? So I started to be real with myself. Like, I like meat. I'm Jamaican. We like our curry goat, oxtail, and curry chicken and all that. And so I knew that for me, although I respect and appreciate the vegan lifestyle, that I was not going to jump from not being balanced with eating to becoming a vegan. Like, I think some of the times with progress, we tend to try to make massive steps. And I claim that if that's where the Lord wants me to go, that I'll go. But I knew that I needed to do this gradually. So what I started to do is to eat less meat. So weekly. So I said, okay, there's 7 days in the week. We all got to eat. In fact, when you have eating issues, it's very challenging because it's the only thing that you have to do to stay alive. All the other stuff vices you can get into, you don't have to do to exist, but eating you have to do. So it's very important to have a healthy relationship with food. So I said, okay, you're eating meat several times a day in each meal. Let's start out with, if you eat meat in a breakfast, don't eat it for lunch and dinner. If you eat it for dinner, then let breakfast and lunch not have meat. And so I started doing that, and then eventually deciding that, okay, we're gonna take meat out of an entire day and see how that works. And so gradually we're at the point now where I eat meat a couple of times a week, but then I'm also replacing some of the meals where I would add meat with other healthy options. So today I decided I love things curry. How about some basmati rice and some sauteed spinach? And so I just started playing around with curry and the natural process that I utilize to make curry, and just instead of putting a protein via meat, let's replace that with a vegetable. You can use chickpeas, you can use sweet potatoes, you can use mangoes. It's so many options. So I'm getting excited about that as my health is changing and getting healthier, and I wanted to share it. So I'm gonna stop talking. So the first thing we're gonna do, I kind of prepped some things so that I can take you through the process of making curry chickpeas. The first step is to cook the curry or burn the curry. People say it differently, but we take the curry and bring out the aroma of it by sauteing the curry first before we put in the vegetables to saute. So we're gonna start out doing its thing is lovely. And so what I do is I let it cook for just a couple minutes until the curry starts to get into like a darker brown, so the aromatics start to come up. So we're just doing that right now. And then what I did, I went ahead and minced the vegetables. So I love yellow. You use whatever bell peppers you like. I prefer yellow, and so I did that for the curry. So about half a bell pepper, yellow, red, green, whatever you choose. And then I did about 2 sprigs or 2 scallions, or green onions. And then we did half a red onion, 6 cloves of garlic, and some thyme. So I don't know how to measure this, so I'm going to show you guys. This is about the amount of time that I put in. Y'all can see it right here. All right, so now we're throwing in all the goodies so they can start to saute and build a lovely fragrant base for our curry. Now everybody curries differently. Some curry with coconut milk, some don't. With this particular recipe, I'm going to be putting in coconut milk. I think it's absolutely fabulous, and it's healthy in many ways, and it also will add a lovely richness to the curry. So these are going to saute for a moment, maybe a minute or 2. I'm going to turn my little kettle on quick, so we're going to add a little hot water to this before my curry. But my daughter eats my food, so I don't put a lot, but a little bit of a Scotch bonnet or habanero, I just cut a slither off. So when I am stewing down the curry, I'll drop that in for a few minutes to add some heat. If you're going to be cooking for a crowd that can take spices, you can actually just drop it in at the very beginning when you're sauteing the vegetables and just let it sit through the whole process, and it will add a deeper heat to the curry. And yeah, here we are. It's coming together real nicely. And then I'm cheating a little bit. I have my ginger paste, so if you have fresh ginger, you can, mince up, a tablespoon, not finely chopped, 1.5 tablespoon would be more than fine because ginger is very pungent. But today, we're going to just use the ginger paste. Okay, beans are strained. They'll be added shortly. Curries are sizzling. Now we're going to add some hot water. Turn up the heat a little bit so that you can get a little boil. So I'm not adding a whole lot of water because I'm going to add the coconut milk, but I'm just adding enough so that I can kind of just take the spoon and get the little curry paste that's sticking to the pot off and build a base for the gravy that we're going to build on with now the coconut milk. So here's where we add coconut milk. Use whatever coconut you like. Goya, I shouldn't promote, but I like them. And then there's some really great Thai coconut milks that are really great as well. So pick whichever one you like. I kind of do just about 3/4 of a can will do it. You really don't need a full can, but maybe a little bit more. Okay. And now we turn up the heat to like medium-high so that it can start to like just cook in together. Let the curry and the coconut fuse. And now here's where you get to play with it as you're developing your curry sauce. What's really nice is that everyone kind of has different taste buds, right? So for me, I'm Jamaican, I like my curry to be curry. I need it to be dark. I need to, it needs to be intense. I like that. So I like the coconut to be the base, but I don't want the coconut for me to be overwhelming. You might love the taste of coconut and you can go lighter on the curry. So this is where you kind of discover what is your balance when you're making curry. So I tend to add a little bit more after I've created the base. Probably about another 2 tablespoons into that, and then let it stir and simmer for about 1 minute. Doesn't need very long because we're going to stew the beans in this lovely curry sauce that we're making here. Boom, pour it in. And now we're going to turn the temperature down and let it do its thing here and create a little bit more of a base for the flavor. So no meat in here, right? Lots of vegetables. We've got our chickpeas, but I do go in now with ginger paste. I would say tablespoon and a half ginger paste or freshly chopped. Then I like my jerk flavor. I add a little bit of jerk seasoning in here to give it a nice kick. And I would say with the jerk is quite salty, so I would say this much. You don't see it? About a teaspoon. That's gonna give all the lovely vibes. Pimento, scallions in there, allspice pimento, ginger. It's just a layering of the flavors. And then we're gonna let this stew on low, and I'm gonna add a little bit more. I think I'm gonna do a true 3/4 can. Okay. And this is where we just let it do its thing on medium-low. And then you can take a spoon and taste it because you're already going to taste the consistency and also the flavor that you want. Even though the sauce is going to cook down and stew the peas, you'll taste it to see. And please don't be be like those folks that eat from the spoon and put it back in the pot. I grew up, you don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Okay? You can blow on the spoon. You can put it in your hand, let it cool out. Taste it. But don't put the spoon back in the pot. Okay? My dad used to always say, respect your food. And that means that we don't put spoons in the pot after we eat it. So I'm going to start cleaning up, let this stew for really about 20 minutes. It doesn't need very long, and then we're going to make the rice. We have the Holy Spirit to help guide us in that process, that's giving you guidance, bringing to your attention the things that are harmful to you, that you shouldn't do, bringing attention to the things that you should do, like exercising and walking. And I found for me, I was an extreme. I was either working out in great shape or just slouching. I just one or the other. And what the Lord has showed me is that life is about balance. It's about being in alignment with His will and purpose and being balanced. You do need to exercise to take care of your vessel. Do you have to exercise 5 hours a day or go extreme? The extremes are not lasting. So in my journey after the health scare, I tried the extremes because I wasn't listening to the Lord. I was trying to do it in my flesh, and then I would lose a bunch of weight and then gain a bunch of weight and go with the yo-yo. And so now I'm just resting in just incremental steps towards health, a healthier physique, and a healthier outlook. That is what all God asks for, is that you yield to the process. And so when I began to yield, I realized even the process wasn't fast. He's gracious, okay? And He's just guiding me through the process of just making some healthier choices and adjustments so that will render a healthier me. And so that's what I've been doing. Now this is a delicious meal. You can have it with rice. For some folks, they'd say, "Oh, don't put rice in there because my rice may add mucus," or for the health folks that don't want rice, you can use other options. You can use quinoa, you can use tofu, you can use potatoes. But I on occasion will have rice. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to be cooking it with rice. So we'll have some basmati rice, and I'm going to make that now. Okay. I'll share a little trick with you. I've yet to get a rice cooker, although they cook rice beautifully. I always cook rice the way my dad taught me. And I would wash the rice and then fill the pot with water and put my index finger in the middle of the pot as the water's going in. And once the water gets to the first line in your finger, on your index finger, that's enough water. So that's always how I've made always how I've made rice. So we've just put our water in. And we're going to go ahead and cook the rice. It should take about 20 minutes. And by that time, the peas are perfectly completed, so it kind of just overlaps just right. You can put a couple of the allspice in the curry. They're not so fun to bite into, but they add a really nice taste. I don't have any cheesecloths right now, so I'm just going to put a few kernels, but allspice is a wonderful addition to curry. So just a few, handful, maybe 7 or 8 of them through the curry, add a nice touch. Now, the chickpeas, they've cooked for probably about 10 minutes. So this is where I'm going to drop my little habanero in there just for a few minutes to add a little bit of fragrance. And if you're cooking for folks that can handle heat, you just put it in there through the whole process. It's wonderful. Saute the garlic and the butter just on low, probably for about 5 minutes, so that the garlic can just get translucent and get a little soft, so that it's not raw. So by the time you add the spinach, you can easily eat the garlic with the spinach and not feel like it's too much. It just blends nicely when you let it cook first a little bit. rice cooker, they don't know like when to turn the rice down. I let it boil down until you start seeing holes like this, that start to develop throughout the rice, and then I turn it down to medium low. So it's heading in that direction now. You just give it a quick stir, make sure everything's nothing's sticking. And here's one of the few instances where I don't mind using the same spoon, because when you're making the rice, a little curry in the rice ain't gonna hurt nobody. It's gonna add a little nice vibe. So even if you stir the beans, you go right in there and it gives a little flavor while the rice is cooking. So the garlic is coming now to that state that I was mentioning. It's getting soft where you can just mush it. And now we can nicely add our spinach. I can open it here, see how it goes. There we go. So I just use a bunch of baby spinach, and you just drop it in. Now it's those holes that I was mentioning that you can see in the rice. When it starts to develop the holes, it's the perfect time to cover it now. Oopsie. Done. Turn down. Just a handful in here. Now you know with spinach, you cook 10 pounds and you get 1 pound after you're finished. But so we'll put like a good amount because it's going to reduce, even though it might look piled in. It'll reduce really nice in a few minutes. So probably, I don't know how to gauge this, probably about 6-7 cups of spinach will serve a couple people nicely once it sweats down. So here's where I just take a little black pepper. Simple with spinach, just a little of that. A little kosher salt. Five shakes, you're done. Let's finish this up. One of my favorite rices to cook with curry is basmati. You can use whatever you like, but basmati has a really lovely taste, and jasmine is really nice also. All right, spinach is done. All right, so our meal is pretty much finished. The rice will take another 10-15 minutes. And then we'll dish it up so you can see what it looks like in just a few minutes.
Of the
just a little bit.
Taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I love that.
Okay.
It looks delicious.
I'm going to take this little pepper out because it's done its work.
Someone bites into that.
I know, that would not be fun. Okay, here you go. Let you blow on that. Get it. Tell me if you feel it needs anything.
Rice is done, and so now
So I'm going to be cute for you guys and try to make the little bowl of rice where you put it on the plate and it's all cute and together as a bowl, like a little circle. So I'm going to give it my best shot. I've never done this before, or not in a long time, so we've got a bowl, we're going to flip it. It lands nicely, and it has beautiful. So the next thing we're going to do, this will be your plate in, sit down in peace.
That's a big plate. Why, look at that.
Ladle the chickpeas around. The rice. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it. Okay. Make a half moon. Vegetables. And just ladle. Or not ladle, just place on the side. Curry chickpeas, sauteed spinach.
Curry chickpeas, sauteed spinach.
And white basmati rice.
Ah, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, that.
Fresh spoon. Shall we just both enjoy the same plate, or you want this whole plate to yourself?
That is, I think we should eat
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Amen.
All
Let's
right,
do it.
let's do that.